Welcome to the I Choose Health podcast. I'm your host, Stefan Lessie. Let's get into the show. Today, our special guest is R&B artist, songwriter, and producer, Honoré. He's here to share his story with us later in the show. In 1948, the World Health Organization defined health as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. I've been vegan, ran half marathons, and I run consistently. However, I realized that the one thing I didn't work on or really focus on was my mental health, and I didn't value it as a foundational aspect of my well-being. There's really no health without it, and every other factor of our health is affected, whether positively or negatively by it. That's why I started this podcast, to create a space where we can discuss all things related to health and shine a spotlight on updates and people that help us move the needle in the direction that will ultimately be better for us. With that said, I want to get into some health updates. An update on red meat from the Harvard School of Health, and more specifically, the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health. It says that red meat consumption is associated with increased type 2 diabetes risk. And it says that replacing red meat with plant-based protein sources may reduce risk of diabetes and provide environmental benefits. And we're going to put a link for that study in the description so you can do a further research on it. And it was saying that they also found that replacing red meat with healthy plant-based protein sources such as nuts and legumes or modest amounts of dairy foods was associated with reduced risk of type 2 diabetes. All right. And oftentimes you may go to the doctor and, he or she may say, well, you may need to reduce your red meat intake because it's leading to all these different problems. And now we're seeing this link to increased type 2 diabetes risk, right? So there's another story there where it helps us, make a decision to, if not to stop completely eating red meat, or at least reduce it significantly. All right. The next study I want to get into is a study on strength training. I'm going to share that here as well. And let me just pull it up. This one says that strength training may reduce health risk of a high protein diet. Now, I want to kind of get into this a little bit because as a trainer, oftentimes we're advising clients who are either trying to build muscle or they're trying to, lose weight. We're oftentimes giving the advice to increase their protein, and they're increasing their protein by a lot. Usual guidelines are a gram of protein per pound of weight. So if you have a client that's maybe 150, 160 pounds, we tell them like, hey, throughout the day, try to get 160 grams of protein in. And the thing about it is that the balance that this study provides is saying that it may reduce health risk of a high protein diet, where strength training may be helping to process all the high protein. So what happens a lot of times is that we'll have clients that will get on the high protein diet, but they may or may not, keep their strength training regimen consistent. So now they're having a difficult time processing that protein, right? So we're going to just look here at what the studies say. The study published in the review preprint in eLife presents what the editors describe as a valuable finding on the relationship between a high protein diet and resistance exercise on fat accumulation and glucose homeostasis. They said the findings will be relevant to dietitians and others trying to understand links between dietary protein, diabetes, and exercise. Dietary protein provides essential nutrients that control a wide variety of processes in the body and can influence health and lifespan. Protein consumption is generally thought of as good, promoting muscle growth and strength, especially when combined with exercise. Yet in people with a sedentary lifestyle, what we touched on before, too much protein can increase the risk of heart disease, diabetes, and death. So we're sharing this study so that you're putting into balance, you know, what you're taking in terms of protein, and that you're not consuming too much, especially if your lifestyle is sedentary. But if your lifestyle is one, whereas like for me as a trainer, I'm training separately and I'm training clients and working out with them oftentimes, my level of resistance training is going to be up more than the average person. You know, that's going to be helpful in terms of helping me process the high protein meals that I'm eating every day. Now, the last study I want to get into, and it's kind of connected to our guest today, I want to get into a study on music and health. I'm going to share that here on the screen. So this study says, music and health, what you need to know. Can music be good for you? And it says, yes, according to a body of research, listening to or making music affects the brain in ways that may help promote health and manage disease symptoms. Performing or listening to music activates a variety of structures in the brain that are involved in thinking, sensation, movement, and emotion. So, processing music, listening to music, making music, and oftentimes a lot of that music really speaks to our soul, our emotions. So, it definitely is something that could be helpful in our mental health, our health overall. So, make sure that you're consuming music that really speaks to you and really helps you and process the difficulties of life. And I know it seems like a tall task with music, but it is something that definitely will help you probably process or get through your day a little bit better. So with that, we're going to segue into our interview today. We're really excited to have our guest today, Honoré, who is a R&B artist, but he also identifies as a vegan, and you'll see that in the interview today. I hope you guys really enjoyed the show, and you guys are able to get a lot of valuable insights from our interview. He is multi-talented. He is a singer, songwriter, producer from Los Angeles. He's the only R&B artist I know whose social media bio says R&B vegan, and the only R&B artist to make me care about the new school R&B. His creative sounds and ideas converge to produce an entirely unique and amazing sound. Audience, please help me welcome Mr. Honoré himself, Honoré.
What's up, Stefan? Thank you so much for having me today, man. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, man. As I told you before, I was, really fascinated by your bio that started with the tagline R&B vegan. And I kind of want to get into that a little bit later in the show. But I want to talk first about your journey as an R&B artist. I want to talk a bit about what influenced your sound. I see that you list Prince, Miguel, and Pharrell as influences. So kind of, talk to us about how their style and genius influenced the way you produce, perform, and write music today.
Yes. Um, yeah, definitely. I'm a student of Prince. Prince was and is the greatest, in my opinion, as far as just taking control of your life, your brand, your music. I mean, he produced everything since day one. And I have older sisters, and they would play this guy's music all the time, and I always wondered who was this guy. So when I started to dive in and really understand more of his journey, besides like the typical Purple Rain stuff, I just really he was a teacher. He became a teacher. He became a big brother that I never had. He became mentor unofficially, and so the mindset of Prince always stuck within me. So with him and Pharrell Williams, more of a artist and producer. Just producing everything from hip hop to R&B to pop, and he's great. So I just love those guys so much, and I just want to like pattern my career after them.
Oh yeah, definitely. And you kind of touched on it with Prince already. Like in terms of Purple, like what influences sound, right? Like, and as I said, I know Prince was definitely a inspiration behind that. But kind of delve into Purple a little bit and give us a little bit more background on that sound.
Absolutely. Yeah, Purple is one of the title track from my current album. It was an album written out of love. I wrote and produced the entire album. I wanted to just kind of emulate like Prince. He was the same thing, just wrote everywhere, produced everything. So I did my best to have this collection of songs during the COVID period, so it was kind of like my life during that time, COVID and a little bit after COVID. And purple is the color of love. It's the color of royalty. It's regal. It's sexy. It's everything about it. So it was kind of my way of paying tribute to the man that I love so much, and kind of giving it my spin on it, the Honoré sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to get into like Cassette, right?
Mhm.
That was an amazing track.
Thank you.
I really like the concept of cassette, like using that word. It provides the musical imagery of a cassette player, right? But
Yes.
then it also helps the person listening to music understand that, you want to go back. You want to go back to a time where, maybe the love was strong or maybe, the love was good. So kind of get into that track a little bit as well.
Ooh, yeah. Cassette is a fan favorite too. That's a song written out of regret. I do my best to create music that could be universal, and it could be mean multiple things to many people throughout the world. I'm sure at one point in time, we all wish we could go back and redo something, whatever that may be. So yeah, that was a song that I kind of like when I was in the studio, I was listening to Biggie. I let my tape rock to my tape pop, and I heard that one line and I was like, wow, that's so cool. And sometimes my inspirations for songs can be a conversation with somebody. It could be something I've heard or seen, a movie, something from my personal life. But yeah, when I started to listen to that, I just kind of delved in, and my spirit just guides me to create these amazing works of art, And then visually, I don't know if you've seen the video, but the official video, is really was really interesting because I wanted to do something a little more challenging and different. Besides the typical, me and my girl were having problems, and I did something or she did something, and we should go back. I wanted to tackle a sensitive subject, which is drinking and driving, and I just wanted to do something on that. So if you guys see the video, which you should check out, we shot the video in a sense, and it's interesting because I don't drink or smoke. I'm probably one of the cleanest brothers you would want to know. And but I took on the role of I was in a relationship with a girl, and I was like the alcoholic. And we're at the bar. I'm drinking, and then we leave the bar. And I was so adamant about driving me and my girl to wherever we're going, and the outcome of that was not so great. So, and then we shot the whole video. The storyline is shot in reverse. It's pretty clever of how we wanted to do it. And for me as an artist to tackle something like that, besides the typical in the club popping bottles, but to tackle something like that, I just wanted to speak uh, to whoever was willing to listen, and share a message of like, look, I can't tell you what to do. I don't want to tell you what to do, but just the thought, if you're going to drink, just please take an Uber or a Lyft. Be responsible, because your actions could spiral into something that it could affect somebody totally innocent, or yourself or your loved one.
That's totally true. And funny that you brought up the Biggie thing because I was going to ask if the sample was hard to clear.
Yes, yeah, it's all good. I don't want to get sued. I'm gonna keep the money I got. Yeah.
I know Ms. Valletta Wallace is definitely protecting the legacy of her son and the memory of
Absolutely.
her son. So
Yeah.
yeah,
R.I.P. Biggie. Shout out.
yeah. Now I'm
Hmm.
going to use a line from one of your songs to kind of segue into what we want to talk about next. So this is a very interesting line. I might be vegan, but tonight I'm doing bunny rabbit. Right, the
Yeah.
first time. When I heard that line, I'm not gonna lie. I'm a person that when I'm consuming music, I have to hear it in the car.
Yeah.
And so I'm like driving, I'm listening to it, and I just bursted out laughing. Right, but
Yes.
like I appreciated the like creativeness of it, and
Yeah.
it's like that still that like sexiness to it to be able to
Hmm.
like hey, I'm vegan, and this might be like a corny flirt, but
Yeah.
just let you know like what's about to happen,
Yeah.
right?
It's
And
about
so
fun.
I just Yeah.
Yeah, the first time. Thank you, man. These are some really questions. I really appreciate it. The first time is another single off the Purple album, and when I wrote that one, it was a really interesting song because obviously, I'm an R&B singer. I love I love love, and I love to write about relationships, and me being in a relationship with this beautiful woman, uh, and just to kind of like, yo, like, can you make it the first time? In my experience in life, and then when I wrote the song, the tagline about the vegan part, I might be vegan, but tonight I'm doing. It was like, yo, that it made me feel like I'm accepting more about me, who I am, and I'm bringing that to the table, versus I don't know. I mean, I guess in R&B, the stigma is like you got to be sexy all the time. You got to show the abs. You got to do the usher moves, which I can do, but I'm also just a down to earth, quirky, fun loving guy, and I have my jokes. And when I wrote that line, I'm like, you know what? I want to add this to the song just to show my personality, that I'm not so serious. Because I think that's then one of the keys of kind of my success is like just not taking myself so serious, and showing them like, look, this is who I am, and hopefully it'll resonate with you in some capacity. And if you laughed, then my job was done.
Yeah. And I think that was really creative because I think when it comes to like genres of music that we can kind of get like humor from, like I think about like mostly rap. You don't usually associate that with R&B.
Yeah.
So to be able to kind of get that humor even in R&B
Mm.
was like amazing,
Mm.
and it was something that I really, really, really like.
Nice.
Now,
Appreciate
I'm going to kind of pick your R&B brain a little bit.
it. Okay.
And I want to let Tank and Jay Valentine know I'm not stealing anything from your show. I know the R&B Money podcast is an amazing podcast.
Yeah.
And Tank, you got to get Honoré on soon, okay?
That would be dope. Yes.
Right. Now, I have to know, in your opinion, if you can list four artists who, through their songs or albums, changed like the sonic landscape of R&B. Like your sound is so unique and amazing that it made me think about this question. So, are there like albums or songs that you felt like at different times kind of changed the way the sound of R&B?
Yes. Ooh, that's a really cool question. Man, I'm loving this interview so much. Uh, let's see. That changed the sound of R&B that impacted me. Um, I want to say Voodoo from D'Angelo. Yeah, between Voodoo and Brown Sugar, the first album that he did, but Voodoo, I mean, they both are just classic. And Black Messiah. Oh, I'm a huge D'Angelo fan, and I don't speak about him, and I don't think we speak about him enough or give him his flowers. I mean, it's typically it's the other guys, which are great, but D'Angelo's music, any of those albums, but for me, Voodoo changed the game for me. Another one, I go back even further. Um, Bobby Brown's. Goodness, with My Prerogative and Don't Be Cruel. That album changed the game of because as an R&B singer, I did my research. Even though some of these songs or albums may not have came out, when I was like really, really little or not even around, but you have to understand the beginnings of where this stuff comes from. If I'm going to proclaim I'm an R&B artist, I need to know about the old school. I need to know about the stuff that happened, even from the Temptations to the stylistics to the Earth, Wind and Fire to the Stevie Wonders. That's another one. Stevie Wonders albums are amazing. That was another one that changed the landscape. Just diving into it. Donny Hathaway too. Donny Hathaway, like it's the beauty about streaming and different things. So I may hear something or hear somebody is like an artist, and I could just instantly go to Spotify and check out their albums, and just do the research. So those albums right there. I mean, obviously Prince. Anything from Prince changed the game for me. Sign of the Times. Sign of the Times. If I was stranded on an island and all I could hear is a few albums, for sure, Sign of the Times from Prince would be up there. Who else? Sade. Sade. Sade is amazing. I wish I could. Yeah, she's amazing too. Sade, Aretha Franklin. I mean, there's so many people that I highly respect. Babyface, for sure. Babyface. Jodeci, and then I know this is maybe a little controversial, but I got to give it up to the music side of R. Kelly because man, I mean, I think it was on Tank's thing, and he was interviewing, was it Tyrese or somebody? But he was asking him like, who is the king of R&B? And he's like, yo, you got to give it to R. Kelly. I mean, even though right now Usher is the new king and hands down, but those guys all day long, man.
Yeah. No, that's amazing, man. And I kind of want to use this time to kind of like segue into speaking about your journey as like a vegan, right?
Yeah,
And your health. And I know for me, like becoming a vegan, I became a vegan 17 years ago.
awesome.
And, part of it was, linked to my values, my religion, right? There
Yes.
was all that kind of played into it. Um, from that particular paradigm. And what further solidified it was an understanding that by continuing to eat meat, we further like a vicious carnivorous cycle that rips animal families apart and keeps us from having beautiful and meaningful relationships with the animals in our world. And I also want to keep in a balance that being vegan doesn't always mean cruelty free, because we benefit from the exploited labor of humans who work for unlivable wages. But now, Mr. R&B Vegan, please speak to what led you to make the decision to become vegan and just being, healthy overall and maintaining your health.
Yes, being a vegan is a lifestyle. It's not a fad. I've been vegan since 2017, and then prior to that, I was a vegetarian since a kid. Um, I was destined to be plant based when I look at my journey because I think 6 or 7, my dad he told me he was making gumbo. My dad's from New Orleans, and he was like, "All right, boy, I need you to peel these shrimps, for the gumbo." And I'm like, "All right, cool, Dad." I'm peeling it, and then all of a sudden I started to break out. I couldn't breathe. My sisters were like laughing at me, like, "Well, look at him," like, "What's going on?" I thought I was like turning into a monster. I didn't understand what was going on. Come to find out, I was allergic to seafood, which is crazy because New Orleans and Creole people, we love seafood, jambalaya, all that stuff. And I was like the only one in my family like that. So I was very picky uh, as a kid. I didn't like a certain things, and being racially mixed, I have black, white, Filipino. And so, obviously the black soul food, white food, mac and cheese, and then the Filipino side, it was all the Filipino food, and I didn't like any of it really. Honestly, I was very picky. So, I mean, my thing was peanut butter and jelly, some mac and cheese, and that was good. I was that kind of kid. But then growing up a little bit, I think around 11, 12, I just started to like break away from that, and then I was in a boy band group. We were like taking a photo shoot, and I wasn't healthy at all. I mean, I was just a regular, and I had a little belly, and we had to take our shirts off for the beach. And the photographer's like, "Yo, suck in your stomach," and all this stuff, and that the guys were making fun of me and everything. So I'm like, what? I'm going to take control over my fitness, my health, and everything. And then I started to really because as at the time being a vegetarian, you could be an unhealthy vegetarian. You could also be an unhealthy vegan too. Just because it's vegan doesn't necessarily mean it's healthy for you. Because those Oreos are vegan, and I could eat the whole bag, but it's got to be careful with that. So it's very important for me. And then once I started to take control, started to see the benefits of not just the outer but the inner, and being able to smell differently. I smelled meat differently. I smell things differently, seen things. I love it. So like I said, it's a lifestyle. I'm gonna be a vegan to my last breath, bro.
Yeah. I kind
Yeah.
of speak to the inside part as well. Like, I know it's very popular today to speak about mental health. Like, kind of touch on that as well. Like, maybe what impact it's had on your mental health as well.
Yeah, it's clean living. It's putting clean things, the healthiest things that you can in your body. I was able to, I don't know, I've been plant based for so long. It's just a normalcy to like be able to get up and go run and do my thing and have a clear vision of the world. I feel like we communicate better. Do we have our down days? Of course, we're human. But my mental health and just keeping your body regulated and in check to a point where it's like, look, I'm in control of my body. I want to be able to like sustain a healthy life, whatever that number is. But while I'm here, I want to do something good about it. I want to be able to influence. I want to be able to be an example of what a good person, because there's good people who are not vegans. I'm not saying that we're the best, but I feel our lifestyle is superior just because of the fact that we're not harming the animals. We are embracing humankind and animals and the life of just being on this earth together and coexisting together.
Yeah. And it's
Mhm.
interesting because, like, for me, when I was a teenager, 17, I became a vegan at 17.
Nice.
And, a lot of it, again, was connected to my religious beliefs. But then it was actually maybe 3, 4 years ago where I saw a video. And at this point, I'm like 12, 13 years vegan.
Hmm.
I seen a video of a cow, and you've probably seen this. There's a cow, and you can see just the eye of the cow, and the cow is about to be slaughtered, and it actually starts to cry.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow. I didn't really understand the extent to which they could experience and feel emotions,
Yes.
right? And then how that obviously goes throughout the rest of their body. And so that impacted me in such a way where I was just like, what, I'm actually like, I need to really be doing this for the animals. And that me just doing it for my health actually kind of came off as like a selfish reason, right?
Yes.
And so I was looking, no, it has to be more about the animals and not just me being healthy. Like I have
Hmm.
to kind of advocate for them and try to make sure that, people are utilizing the options they have of, using the plants, the grains, the fruits, the veggies, and
Yeah.
that we don't need to kill animals to sustain life.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then, yeah, I mean, I've seen that. I've seen multiple images. I've seen game changers, documentaries. I've seen so many things that I try my best to educate friends and family or just people that meet. And it's usually the people that are not knowing about the vegan life that are, I don't want to say ignorant, but they just don't know. And they have the issue. It's not me. It's like, oh, you're going to eat grass all day? I'm like, no, like we love to eat too. We like flavor. We like, different things. But the animal aspect too, it is, I'm just feel strongly about it. I just don't think it's okay for what the meat industry, the dairy industry does to for consumerism and different things. And I'm like, and animal lovers too. If you're an animal lover, you know, we can go down that pathway too. But yeah, I just highly believe like we can sustain a healthy lifestyle without eating meat and dairy. It's just a better way of life.
Yeah. And I'll be remiss on the I Choose Health podcast to not mention this fact. And I think the study came out a couple of years ago that they were saying that vegans, and we have Mr. R&B vegan here, that vegans actually have a better life under the sheets,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. We're
And
sexy.
so, yeah, right. So there's definitely great benefits,
Yeah.
uh, to being vegan. And so, it's important for our listeners to know that, you know, obviously there's no problem if you want to not be vegan, but, at least explore the option, at least see what's possible, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now, I'm going to segue again. I'm going to mention some names here. Olivia Rodrigo,
Mhm.
Vanessa Hudgens, Nicole Scherzinger. I'm definitely butchering her name. Scherzinger from,
Yes.
Pussycat Dolls.
Yeah.
And now Honoré. What does it mean to you to be on this list of the top 75 influential Filipino Americans of 2023?
Oh, yeah. That was a nice honor, to just be recognized for the hard work that we do as entertainers. And it's interesting, being mixed with different cultures, you know, um, growing up, it was difficult because you don't know where to go. You just want to fit in. You want to be, and I've never felt like I fit in anywhere. I was never fully this enough or that enough. And I believe, when I just started to accept myself as like, I'm just me. I'm Honoré. This is who I am. This is what I'm passionate about. And to be on that list, part of my community, It was amazing. It was great. It just lets me know like to keep going, you know. And my goal is for whoever chooses to listen or understand my story. It's not just the music. That's just the start of it. You know, my involvement in the community, my health and fitness, my mind state, my positivity. I want that to kind of speak more volumes, even more than the music. The music is just kind of like it catapults me to greater venues. So.
Yeah, and that's amazing, man. And I want to, because we're winding down, and I really want to thank you for being here today. This was really amazing, and I'm really excited to see where your career goes from here and the positive impact that you continue to leave on the R&B world, well, on the world in general, and on your community. And I wanted to take this time to to plug anything that you have going on, tell the people where they can find you and your new projects. You can go ahead and plug that here.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Stefan. Yeah, guys, thank you so much for listening to this, my little story here. I'm just a dude here from Los Angeles. I've been working really hard on myself to just continue to challenge, to elevate, to pivot and elevate. And I just want to be an example of that, to anybody that listens or understands my story. The music it means the most to me. It means so much to me because, it was my voice. It's been my voice. It kind of gets people's attention. So with the music, the new album Purple is out on all streaming platforms. So if you have Spotify, Apple, Tidal, any of those streaming platforms, take a listen to it. You might find some things on that album that speaks to you. It comes from a good place. I'm very proud that I wrote and produced it. So you can find that there. You can also follow me on Instagram, HONORE music. That's Instagram right there. It's just the way to get to me. You can send me DMs, if it's professional and kind, I'll get back to you. I really want to be able to like tap into my audience, which is multiple demographics too, because I have the R&B crowd, I got the health and fitness, the vegan crowd, also the mixed kids crowd. So if you're feeling a little inadequate, like I don't know where to fit in, I know. So I want to be able to speak to that. So it's just like, these are my demographics and I just want to be able to reach them more, and anybody else too, so if you choose to listen, follow my music, follow my journey, support me, and just know that I'm working hard every day to create wonderful works of art to provide for your listening pleasure. If you see me live in concert, that's another experience there. I'm working on the next new album for 2024. So there's a lot going on around here.
And I also want to kind of get into this because I definitely heard some features on the album. Is there like a collective? Because I see there's Honoré music. I think there was one song, I forget the young lady, I forget her name, but I think she was rapping on the song.
Also,
yes. Is there like a collective that is going on?
Yeah. I've been blessed to work with a lot of cool artists here in Los Angeles and globally as well. Yeah, and they're all kind of doing their thing, and it's just nice to collaborate with like-minded people who are just really on the verge of greatness. And yeah, it's amazing. So watch out for Soul Tree, Noah Lazarus from Q York. They're doing amazing things. I'm working with some new artists here in the States as well, and it's just great. So listen to Purple. Stay in contact with me, and just know that I'm constantly in the studio, ready to release new music for early next year as well.
All right. Well, Honoré, I really appreciate it, man. This was great.
Yes.
And well, that's it, everyone. Thank you again for tuning in to I Choose Health. Make health personal. Make the choice to be healthy. Make the choice to be you.
Yes.